1965, when Lightfingers and Roy Higgins outbattled stablemate Zaima. And then, in something of a rarity in modern racing, we saw champion Octagonal return to win 4 more Group 1 races, taking his career tally to 10. No horse won more Group 1s for the 1996-97 season, and in a year without the likes of Saintly, a second Horse of the Year title would have been his for the taking. Gay Waterhouse, Bart Cummings, Shane Dye, Darren Beedman, Saintly and Octagonal all played vital roles in making the 15th Australasian racing year one of special memories and historical importance. The new Group 1 year began the way it concluded, with Lee Freedman on top.
Real hard now, and the leader on the inside, Ballroom Babe, you remember's outside at 2 to Street Talk. Sequalo 3 deep on the fence, Del Sol from Bouverie Mist, then Temperate Pug, further back Furama Knights. Octagonal comes to the outside, 6 lengths off them from Sir Boom, then another chance from Cheviot. Last of all, Andy Mary at the 450 Gout. She's riding the champ hard before the turn. You remember took over. Sequalo coming at him from Poetic King, then Temperate Pug right behind them, Furama Knights, and pulled out deep. Octagonal still 5 lengths off them. Around the turn, Sequalo, you remember. Poetic King comes at them quickly. 4 lengths further back, Sir Boom. Octagonal can't get up from there. Poetic King and Sequalo with 100 to go from You Remember. Poetic King got a set in front. Fighting back, You Remember, Poetic King.
As we shall see, that was just an early instalment from Poetic King. The Vic Health Cup was the next item on the Group 1 agenda. It's a 1,400-metre open handicap and is conducted at Caulfield.
At the 800, Temperate Pug had gone to the lead over Blazing Sun in second, and Zuccarino is holding down third, placing on the outside, followed by Del Sol. Back behind them then on the inside, You Remember, and then Pluska Sober Suit, followed by Matsky. Next in the field, 600 metres to go, Dry Humour, followed by Pearl Prince getting up on the inside, and Costa de Lago's creeping closer, followed by Scenic Royale, Lockray, buzz off a fairway back before the turn, Cuttery Lane, simple as that. Another excuse and follow the riders last when they corner. Blazing Sun on the inside, Zuccarino wider out, Sober Suit coming at them. You Remember looking for a way clear on the inside. Scenic Royale is coming with Lockray on the outside. Zuccarino tackled by Scenic Royale, who dashes to the front now. Then Lockray, simple as that, coming down the outside. But it's Scenic Royale in front, and Costa de Lago switches to the inside. He's flying in Costa de Lago. He's got there. Mighty winning Costa de Lago beats Scenic Royale.
This was a stunning victory, one in which Costa de Lago turned the impossible into reality. It certainly fired the imagination of trainer Lee Freedman, jockey Stephen King, and the big Caulfield crowd privileged enough to witness it. Sadly, we saw in Costa de Lago just 2 more times, including an effortless win in the Group 2 Bill Stutt Stakes at Moonee Valley. This son of Sadler's Wells' younger brother, Fairy King, will now stand his first season at stud at the Campbell family's Blue Gum Farm, Euroa, Victoria.
Horse of the Year Octagonal had been beaten on 3 occasions in the early spring weight for age races. In the Group 1 Underwood Stakes, Octagonal was taken beyond the mile for the first time in its preparation and was reunited with his Autumn Carnival partner, Darren Beedman.
Doremus behind him, hard ridden, and Octagonal the widest into the straight now. Bunched at the top of the straight. Celius took the lead now from Station Hand, running on Furama Knight, Sir Boom. Toil is barging into the open. Count Shivers coming down the outside with Octagonal. He's putting in on the outside. Celius the leader. Count Shivers and Octagonal. Octagonal and Count Shivers. Octagonal, he's back. Octagonal's won it by a long neck.
Now we'll see more of Octagonal when we pay tribute to the champ later in the Australasian racing year. In Sydney, the AJC Spring Carnival was beginning to unfold, and an early highlight was the head-to-head clash of Fallant and Juggler in the Group 1 George Main Stakes over 1,600 metres at Randwick.
All Our Mob is just in front of Falante, who's level now as they come to the corner. In third place, Valence. Juggler on the outside is tracking Falante. Toledo last of the 5 as they turn for home. Now they're in earnest at the 400. All Our Mob and Falante together coming over the rise. Dittman sitting pretty on Falante. He allows the odds on Pop. More rain. He quickly put a length on All Our Mob. Juggler, called upon by Glenn Boss, is running a heck of a race at the 200. Falante clear. Dittman's got to liven him up. Juggler on the outside is coming at him strongly. Juggler's got him. Juggler, here's a boil over. Juggler takes the lead from Falante, and Juggler draws away to win it, nearly a length on the line to Falante.
Fallant was gallant in defeat there. The defeat also brought about a programming rethink from trainer Jack Denham, who had previously intended sending Fallant straight to Melbourne. Instead of that, and with Brian York replacing a suspended Mick Dittman, Fallant started favourite from a wide barrier in the Group 1 Cannon Epsom Handicap.
followed by Peruzzi as they turn from Social Rule, and Shame is a mile back with Ray Lopez as they come over the rise. Flight to Fantasy about to be tackled by Falonte, which has breezed up on the outside, and Falonte exploded to the front at the 200 mark. Catalan opening and All Our Mob are running on well, followed by Iron Horse, but it's all Falonte with 100 to go. All Our Mob is trying his heart out, but Falonte, like the shooting star from which he gets his name, comes right away to win the Epsom brilliantly.
What a phenomenal gallop, breaking a 17-year-old record for the Randwick Metric Mile, previously held by the underrated 1979 Doncaster handicap winner, Belmira Lad. Falon, bred by Sydney Turf Club director Jim Fleming, became the third Group 1 winner produced by his dam, the Sir Tristram mare Eau de Trois.
The spring 3-year-olds did not impress as a particularly strong lot, and the picture became even more confused when the impressive Gloaming Stakes winner Magic of Sydney had a setback in training.
Further back then, a Sharp Lord, followed by Truly Halo, and Ebony Grove is giving them a big start as they turn for home. Over the rise, Don Tristram, the leader. Magic of Sydney is about to canter into second place, followed by Toledo and Dual Dilemma with the last shot at the Magic of Sydney. Swept to the lead at the 200 over Don Tristram. Ebony Grove about to burst out of the pack. Dual Dilemma's there too. Magic of Sydney, the leader. Ebony Grove is coming after him with Dual Dilemma. Magic of Sydney is just in front as they hit the line. I reckon he just lasted.
Magic of Sydney is yet another Group 1 winner by the all-conquering stallion Danehill, the hottest sire property in this half of the world. This was the second Group 1 for the season for trainer Gay Waterhouse, and the first for the renowned big occasion jockey Shane Dye.
The Flight Stakes is the Sydney spring highlight for 3-year-old fillies. The traditional lead-up event, the T-Rose Stakes, had seen the Gay Waterhouse-trained Assertive Lass finish far too brilliantly for the Danehill filly Dashing Eagle.
Dashing Eagle 3 deep is tracking Show Dancing, followed by Lafayette, Dan Hendry, Countess Carmen, City Devil last as they flatten for the run to the judge. Over the rise, Saverin joined quickly by Assertive Lass. Show Dancing in third place, and Dashing Eagle has the last shot at them as they come to the 200. Here's the Eagle is flying. Dashing Eagle on the outside has stormed past Assertive Lass with 100 to go. Has Beedman got the 1,000 wins? Shane Dye, never say die, fighting back on Assertive Lass, and I think he's got him again.
The judge took his time and called for a number of prints that ultimately could not separate Assertive Lass and Dashing Eagle. In many ways, this was a self-contained preview of the season, with Waterhouse versus Cummings and Dye versus Beedman. A dead heat was probably a fair result all round. 2 days before the AJC Metropolitan, Derby runner-up Saintly had been unceremoniously beaten as a long odds-on favourite by 3-year-old Adventurous, trained by Waterhouse and ridden by Dye. Saintly's trainer Bart Cummings would not hear of deviating from his plan and backed up Saintly 2 days later in the 2,600 metre feature, run at set weights with penalties and allowances.
Hula Flights is now getting between horses, then the Phantom Chance and Nothing Like a Dane pull to the extreme outside as they come over the rise. Fewer chosen, the leader from Western approaches. His Hula Flight getting between them, and Saintly on the outside has rounded them up very quickly. Saintly has raced clear with Hula Flight. They're fighting it out from Fewer Chosen and Nothing Like a Dane coming down the outside. Saintly and Hula Flight. Nothing Like a Dane is coming fast in the last little bit, but Hula Flight on the inside.
This was the third AJC Metropolitan for Gay Waterhouse. Hula Flight provided major Japanese owner and breeder Katsumi Yoshida with his first Australian Group 1 success. Chris Muntz was the successful jockey.
The AJC Carnival had been dominated by Gay Waterhouse, much the same way her famous father Tommy Smith had done so often in years gone by. When the Waterhouse team hit Melbourne in early October, it didn't take long for the leading Sydney trainer to find a thief.
And 3 lengths to Peep on the Sly. They're bunching around the home bend now. It's Crying Game going to Magnet Bay again. Juggler on their outside. He has the upper hand round the turn. Octagonal's 3 behind him in a sprint home. Juggler takes the lead at the top of the straight for Stephen King now. From Magnet Bay, Octagonal pulls to the outside. It's Juggler at the 200 metre mark, a length in front of Magnet Bay. In third place, Station Hand with Octagonal, but Juggler, the way it's run, he sprints away. He's 3 lengths in front now from Magnet Bay and Octagonal, and Juggler careers away to win it easily. Juggler first by nearly 4 lengths.
Juggler had won the Group 1 Doomben Cup the previous winter in Brisbane, and this was Group 1 number 3 for the Victorian bred gelding. Subsequently, Juggler represented Australia in the $5 million Dubai World Cup and finished a creditable 6th behind global champion Sing Spiel.
The running of the Caulfield Guineas is a sure sign that the Spring Carnival is getting serious. On the strength of 3 successive and highly impressive wins, the Lee Freedman trained in Costa del Lago was a dominating favourite.
In Costa del Lago, getting through between horses now coming into it, and then Portland Player on the rail from Intergaze Anthems and Alpha at the turn now, and Tarnpur Lane the leader into the straight, a length and a half clear from West Point. In Costa del Lago, Pop the Question on the outside, and then Portland Player. Tarnpur Lane at the 300, tackled by Portland Player, West Point, and in Costa del Lago. The favourite's got a bit of work to do here. On the outside, Intergaze is coming with a rush, and Alpha down the outside. It's Intergaze and Alpha. Intergaze and Alpha from in Costa del Lago. Intergaze and Alpha. Alpha goes home the best, and Alpha wins it by a head to Intergaze, and third in Costa del Lago.
Alpha was undoubtedly the pride of Tasmania after tossing the top Sydney colt Intergaze and the highly rated in Costa del Lago. The gelding unfortunately went amiss when being prepared for an autumn campaign. He's by the moderately performed but very well bred stallion El Moxie, whose impressive start to his stud career earned him a relocation from Tasmania to Emirates Park Stud Victoria. Jockey Rod Griffiths filled his part of the deal admirably.
There are 5 metric mile races run under handicap conditions in Australia, and traditionally they're always tough races for punters to sort out. The 1996 Toorak handicap was no exception.
Catlin opening and Matsky into the straight together from Brackenbury. Poetic King Park just behind them. They're followed then by Sober Suit over on the inside, and then Zuccarino. Lockray a fair way back, and so too is Seascape at the 200 now. Brackenbury fighting back. Matsky, Catlin opening. Poetic King is coming at the lot of them from Scenic Royale. Poetic King takes the lead from Brackenbury. Poetic King from Brackenbury, and then Shame, but Poetic King and Simon Marshall, they win the Toorak.
This was a third Group 1 for the underrated Poetic King, whose medium build has not diminished his ability to carry weight. It was also a consolation for having been beaten by Longshot Oppressor in the Toorak of 1995, when he conceded that good Queensland galloper 7 kilos in the handicaps. Simon Marshall handled Poetic King in both the Manikato Stakes and the Toorak.
Remember those good Sydney fillies, Dashing Eagle and Assertive Lass? Well, in the Group 1000 Guineas at Caulfield on October 16, they were at it again.
500 left to go in the Guineas now. They're nearing the turn. Gadina just in front of Assertive Lass and Simply Believe. Shiosaki's tracked wide all the way behind them, Ascorbic and Dayra Bay. They're followed then by Dashing Eagle coming to the outside with her run. Assertive Lass first for home. Simply Believe coming at her, and now Dashing Eagle coming with a run on the outside. Then Recitals and Superb Lady. Assertive Lass, Simply Believe and Dashing Eagle alone at 3 at the 200. Dashing Eagle gets the upper hand for beatment over Assertive Lass, Simply Believe. Dayra Bay and Zaya is late, but Dashing Eagle's broken away, and Dashing Eagle, Beatman and Cummings win it by 2 lengths.
Although still inclined to race greenly, Dashing Eagle was simply too good on this occasion. The filly is raced by Australian wine industry leader Wolf Blass, who paid $100,000 for this daughter of Danehill as a yearling.
With the preliminaries over, the stage was set for the 1996 Group 1 Foster's Caulfield Cup. It was hailed as the most open in years. The runners are under starters' orders.
Light now, they're away. Doremus jumped okay. Count Chivas a little awkwardly out of the gates. Arctic Scent and Love Dance into stride very fast early with Circles of Gold. And there's Iron Horse moving forward in the early stages. And Hula Flight is running towards the leaders as well. But Iron Horse goes to the front. Down to the pace the first time. Hall takes Iron Horse to the lead over Crying Game, birding back on the rail. Circles of Gold 2 lengths away third, and Hula Flight's got in 1 off the rails on the outside of Love Dance, and next Electronic turning out of the straight. Arctic Scent getting up on the inside looking for an out, and a gap to Doremus at the 200. It's Iron Horse, Circles of Gold. Arctic Scent trying to get a run through. It's Circles of Gold and Iron Horse from Arctic Scent, and then Doremus, he's closing. It's Circles of Gold. Arctic Scent getting up on the inside. Arctic Scent getting up to Circles of Gold. Arctic Scent draws away. Arctic Scent by a length. Circles of Gold.
Well, this was certainly an emotional moment for owner-breeder David Moody and his wife Jenny, who'd seen many of the horses of their beloved Hodson's Lodge training complex depart soon after trainer Gerald Ryan handed in his licence. However, those who stuck behind Moody and his newly retained trainer Jim Mason had something magnificent to celebrate. Arctic Scent, winner of the Group 1 Queensland Oaks the previous season, is now the most important winner by Moody's former top colt Blazing Sword, a son of 1982 Golden Slipper hero Masqué. The mare was ridden to perfection by teenage apprentice Brent Stanley.
The 1996 BMW Cox Plate was something of a rarity in the modern era, a below-capacity field. Thank goodness for the interstate visitors. as Victorian stables failed to muster a single runner in the country's richest and most prestigious weight for age race. Although the field was small, it was ultra elite. The 5 best weight for age gallopers in the land, Juggler, All Our Mob, Saintly, Folant and Octagonal, all arrived on schedule to do battle in the race where legends are made.
Down the back, 1,000 to go. In the Cox Plate, and Crying Game goes up to Adventurous. 2.5 further back, Follante. 3 further back, All Our Mob. Juggler on the outside a bit, 3/4. 2 to Saintly, 1.5 Anthems, and 2 to Octagonal, still 12 lengths off them around the turn at the 800 metre mark. Crying Game took over now from Adventurous. Follante comes out now for Dittman and is striding quickly to the lead now. A length further back, All Our Mob. They're followed by Juggler. Saintly peeling out deep, and then Anthems. They're bunching up, 600 to go in the plate. Octagonal last, but coming out now. He's about 4 lengths off them. Crying Game is grabbed by Follante. Juggler wider out on the track with All Our Mob, and Saintly putting in a run out wider. All Our Mob and Follante being tackled by Juggler, and the widest runner is Saintly with a run. All Our Mob, Follante now from Juggler and Saintly. 4 in line, 2 to Octagonal. They turn for home, and the whips are cracking. It's All Our Mob, Saintly, Juggler and Follante. Here's a great go, 150 to go. Follante, Saintly coming at it on the outside. Saintly getting up to Follante and Juggler the centre. Saintly on the outside. Follante strikes back, dead heat. Saintly may be a nose. Follante, nothing in it.
Generally, when 4 horses are spread across the track, it indicates a race that's below par, with no single horse achieving his personal best. This wasn't the case in the 96 Cox Plate, with Saintly and Folant splitting the line together in a tactical battle that had the big crowd roaring as long and as loud as any Cox Plate crowd that preceded it. The Cox Plate completed the big 3 of Australian racing for Darren Beadman, having previously won the 1984 Golden Slipper on Inspired and the 1990 Melbourne Cup on Kingston Rule. It was the second Cox Plate for the maestro, Bart Cummings. His first was champion Taj Rossi in 1973, and ironically enough, both Saintly and Taj Rossi are from the same family. It said much about the 3-year-olds of this season that only Adventurous and Anthems went around on the Cox Plate, and both of them at generous odds. Alfred, who fought out the Caulfield Guineas, had another battle royal in the Amy Vase earlier on the Cox Plate program, with connections preferring the softer option of working the youngsters out against their own age group. Alfred dominated Derby discussions, with the other major chance conceded to Ebony Grove, who had looked unlucky in the Spring Champion Stakes during the AJC's spring meeting. And then there was Portland Player, a royally bred colt sporting the colours made famous by the Victoria Derby's most famous beaten favourite, the mighty Kingston Town.
As they came near to the home turn, further back in the field, Kim Commander starting a run around the outside. Portland Player is getting a little closer to the leaders. Mustang Ranch back on the inside. Then came Into Gaze, being trailed by Ebony Grove and Tom Bowler as last when the Derby field came around the home turn. And it's Prattler the inside and Adventurous under the whip, hanging a bit the first into the straight. Third placing Prince Miasma, Mustang Ranch the inside, Magic of Sydney, and Alpha is coming with his run down the outside. Portland Player is closing, and Ebony Grove from last. 250 to go. It's Prattler in front. Portland Player and Alpha are pegging him back now from Ebony Grove, who's coming quickly on the outside. Ebony Grove, Portland Player and Alpha from Prattler the rails. It's Portland Player, Alpha and Ebony Grove now. Portland Player, Alpha, Ebony Grove, Portland Player. Portland Player won it by a neck.
To say that Portland Players is a blue blood pedigree is to lapse into gross understatement. He's the ultimate proof of what can happen when the best of North and South combine. His sire, Theatrical, is a Breeders' Cup winning son of the great Nurio, while his dam, the sleek black mare Spirit of Kingston, was the leading filly of her generation in Australia. The Derby winners, owners and breeders were Mr. and Mrs. Kingston Town, David and Helen Hayes. The trainer, Group 1 genius Lee Freeman.
The Mackinnon Stakes at Flemington on Derby Day is a 2,000 metre weight for age race with a mountain of history behind it. This year's Mackinnon Stakes seemed to have less Melbourne Cup consequences than usual, looking much more like a Cox Plate consolation.
About a length and a half to Love Dance in third place now, coming up to second for Follante, and over on the outside joining in is All Our Mob, and they're followed by Circles of Gold and Count Shivers running on well. Magnet Bay back behind them, followed by Juggler, Octagonal as well back as they run to the 300. All Our Mob on the outside has taken the lead from Follante, who's struggling. In third place is Celius, Count Shivers, Circles of Gold, but All Our Mob looking good with 150 left to go. Follante's now starting to close the gap a bit, but All Our Mob is still the leader with 100 to go. All Our Mob's got it won. All Our Mob will win the Mackinnon by a length to Follante. Third, pretty tight, Celius or Circles of Gold in a photo.
While many analysts doubted the ability of 7-year-old All Our Mob to hold his form just 7 days after his torrid Cox Plate run, they underrated the toughness of this double millionaire. All Our Mob, trained by Gay Waterhouse, is jointly owned by 34 times champion Sydney trainer Tommy Smith in partnership with Chinese businessman Tony Huang.